Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I am a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan, so if you haven't already, please subscribe. There'll be many more videos to come, and thanks for watching. I'm going to be talking about some really good news, possible new release of the Beatles' 50th anniversary of their White Album. It was originally released back in November of 1968. It had 30 songs on it, and I think just like Sgt. Pepper last year, I think it's going to get the star treatment this year. So I'm going to tell you what I feel is going to be on it, different packages, and so forth. First of all, I think there's going to be a new remix of the album done by Giles Martin. Giles is the son of famed Beatle producer George Martin. Just like last year he remixed Sgt. Pepper, I think he'll probably have a new mix for the White Album. And I think you're going to be able to buy this separately on its own, and then I think it'll also be part of a pricey box set. So besides the new remix, I think there's going to be a mono, a 1968 original mono mix of it, done by George Martin. And the reason that mono is so important is because the Beatles paid a lot of attention to their mono mixes. They were specially made for those who had record players, like a lot of people did in Britain, that had just one speaker. So there was special attention paid to that. And then there was a stereo mix also done. The thing I like about this is that there are differences, especially in the mono mix compared to the stereo, that is worth noting. There was something known around called the Peter Sellers tapes. Peter Sellers was a famous comedian, Pink Panther. He was a friend of Ringo Starr. They did a movie together around that time called The Magic Christian. Well, Ringo gave him a he gave him a tape of just some mixes at that time of the White Album before it was released. Said, hey, what do you think of it? And there are some differences, like Sexy Sadie being a little bit longer, among other things. Now, I'm not saying those mono mixes sound exactly like that tape, but everything I've heard, there are definitely mixes, and it's worth listening if you're a huge fan. So I think that will be included also. The other exciting news that I think would be really great is in 1968 the Beatles went to India to study under the Maharishi. They went for lectures with him, and they also meditated. They were there several months. It was quite an experience. They wrote a lot of songs at that time, and what they primarily had were their acoustic guitars, and that's one of the reasons why this album sounds so acoustic compared to what they were doing before. Well, in May of '68, they went to George Harrison's house, and George had an Ampex 4-track tape recorder, and they decided to record a lot of the songs that they had written while they were in India. In fact, from what we know, there are 27 songs that were recorded in demo form at his home. 7 of those have already appeared on the anthology, but the other 20 have not, and I would like to see one full CD of all those songs, and I think they can do it on this box. Some highlights would be, this is unplugged. This is the Beatles unplugged. They're having fun. They're having a good time. Early version of Back in the USSR. But some songs I want to note, Sour Milk Sea is one. It's a George Harrison song that was later given to Jackie LaMox. This was a song that was pretty interesting. The finished version featured the Beatles as the backing group, at least Paul, George, and Ringo. So it is a really good song, and it's a fun rocker. I'd like to see that. I'm Just a Child of Nature. Here's a song, a John Lennon song that later evolved into Jealous Guy. At least the music stayed the same, but the lyrics were changed. This was based on, inspired a lecture that the Maharishi had given. Paul and John were in attendance. Paul went off and wrote Mother Nature's Son, which did make its way on this album. I'm Just a Child of Nature was another one John wrote. Based on that experience, that one didn't make the grade. And then what else would be on here? A song called Circles. This is a kind of dingy organ sounding dark tune, which I think is worth listening. Worth a listen. This later would appear on George's Gone Troupo album 14 years later. Alright, well, besides all that, I think there would be a CD included in this box that would have songs, sessions, early work versions, different versions of these songs. One thing I would like to see is Helter Skelter, the 28-minute version. How about it? I know there's a heavily edited form on the anthology, I think about 4 minutes, but I like to hear the whole thing. Another song would be Revolution, take 20. This is a take that ran 10 minutes long, and this was interesting because originally the first 4 minutes appeared on the White Album as Revolution #1, and then the other 6 were stripped and used as some of the backdrop for Revolution #9. And I listened to this recently. It's just very incredible. John, when he conceived the song, I think he has said that what he wanted was he wanted to show kind of how a revolution takes place, so to speak, on tape. Very orderly at the beginning, and then it turns into complete chaos. And I think Revolution 9 did do a good job of that. So that would be another one. How about Obla-Di Obla-Da? There were several versions of that. I know there is a version on Anthology, but they had remade that several times, and I think it has a place here. I'd like to see that. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I know we have that beautiful Take 1, which is on Anthology, but there were other versions also made. There was a remake version, and then another remake of that, re-remake from Eric Clapton. So there was at least 3 different versions of that. I'd like to hear the second one. That would be pretty incredible. A song called Not Guilty. This was heavily edited and changed on Anthology, but there are 102 takes of this song. Now, not all of them are complete, not all of them have vocals, but I would like to hear an unedited full version with the flaying guitars and the long outro. That would be pretty amazing. What's the New Mary Jane? That would be another one. That was a John Lennon song. It did appear on Anthology, but I think, you know, since it was recorded during these sessions, I'm sure that they would have a nice version that they can put on here. I'd like to see that too. Also, Can You Take Me Back? This is a song that did appear on here, but in very shortened form in between songs. It's the song where it says, can you take me back where I came from? Can you take me back? You know, oh brother, can you take me back? That one. Well, it's over a minute. That was recorded and they edited it for release. How about Hey Jude? How about a shorter version? How about hearing it, you know, without the long intro? That would be cool. How they, you know, turned that into a classic. Blackbird, there were several different takes of that. He was working on that quite a while. That would be quite interesting. I Hate to See the Evening Sun Go Down. Here's an unreleased song. It was just a fun little snippet song during the Hey Jude sessions. That would be nice to include in this package too. And then I also think that there will be a hardcover book included in the box set, which will detail the making of the album and the sessions and talk about the songs. I think that would be a lot of fun. And you know, another thing I'd like to see, I'd also like to see, when you bought this album, it came with photos, individual photos of the members, 4 different photos. And I would like to see some alternate versions of that, some alternate takes that they had, you know, poses, whatever they were doing. So thank you very much for watching my video. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And look for a fall release for this particular package and new releases from Apple celebrating 50 years. Thank you.